Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We're back with another live video. But we'll do our match preview against Ipswich Town. No, not Ipswich, Preston North End. I get them confused. I get them confused. Looks like we've actually started a little late, 1 minute late. I apologize. But yeah, today we're gonna do the Preston North End match preview for tomorrow. Hopefully you're all having a great day. It's a bloody lovely day with weather wise. It's pretty hot, not hot, boiling hot, but it's pretty warm, I should say. Cold weather looks like it's going. West 12P is in the chat. How's everything? We hope all is good. I'm all good, man. Hopefully you're having a great day as well. H Football's in the chat as well. Hi DB. Hopefully you're having a good day, H Football. Can you make it tomorrow for the live? Pete, I'm not sure what's going on yet, because what it is, the job that I do is technically I don't get the jobs until the morning. And then in the morning, when I look at the jobs, I can tell you, well, I can see, be like, all right, cool, 100% I can make it for sure. But right now, like I said, we will hopefully probably go live, but I don't know when. If we can get home before 3 o'clock, 100% we'll get before kickoff, 110%. But we'll see what happens. I can't promise anything, but I will promise we'll probably go live for sure, but I don't know what time. So yeah, we'll see what happens. It's kind of good that you brought that up, to be honest. It saves me from bringing up at the end. Might have to still mention if people are still just starting to get into the chat. But yeah, today we should do the match preview. We are early, like I said, it's 2 o'clock. I thought I'd get on early anyway today. See what happens later on. But yeah, obviously we've all had a great weekend on Good Friday. We're watching QPR beat Watford 2-1. Very similar result, similar to when we played them at Vicarage Road. But yeah, this game, I'm not too sure. I wouldn't say I'm confident. I wouldn't say I'm not confident either. But it's Preston at their ground, you know. We know what they're capable of. They had a good game against us at the start of the season at our ground, but at the moment, are they in good form? I'm not too sure. We'll have a look anyway when we get into this. Anyone else in the chat? Who else is in the chat? Anyone else there? Windy today as well. Right, let's switch to the next screen. Right, so as you can see, Preston North End at Deepdale. I believe it's a 3 p.m. Is it a 3 p.m. kickoff? It is, right? It is a 3 p.m. Yeah, it's a 3 p.m. kickoff. Now the referee is Thomas Kirk. I think we've had him before. I'm not too sure, but we'll have a look at it after the match preview. So Preston North End, previous result obviously was a 1-1 draw at home. Now, should we have won that game? I think so. There was too many mistakes in defence. We were leaky with defence at the start of the season, but our attack was on point. You know, our attack recently has been really good. So yeah, I would say if we could get the win, it'd be much decent for us. Now, obviously, certain players are coming back from injury. Not too sure if they will be on the bench tomorrow. But yeah. In recent forms of Preston, obviously we drew at the start of the season. We've beaten them away where Anderson scored that cracker of a goal last season, right at the end of the season. And obviously, you know, pretty much we've beaten them constantly. The last time we lost to Preston was at home back in 2023, you know? So yeah, looking at this, I'm feeling a bit confident now. But when it comes down to on the day and you look at the team, it can change. So yeah, it is on Sky Sports Plus. It is on Monday, as it's going to be another bank holiday. Now Preston sit 15th position, 40 games played, 13 wins, 14 draws, 13 losses, and -4 goal difference, 53 points. Now, They are up against us, which are 40 games played, 16 wins. So we've got more wins than them, less draws and more losses. In 8 draws and 16 losses, -5 goal difference and 56 points. Our recent form in 5, 2 losses, 3 wins on the trot. And with Preston North End, 3 losses, 1 win and a draw. So they're pretty much got an okayish form with previous results. Now let's have a look at what their last game was. So they did draw with Leicester City 2-2 at the King Power Stadium. Goals from Daka and for Preston, Moran and Whiteman. Now it looks like Leicester were literally in control of that game. Preston did fuck all, to be honest. It was actually appalling by Preston. I'm hoping I said Preston and not Portsmouth. Now their win against Stoke, the 3-1 win at home, where Alfie Devine scored 2 and Osamage scored 1. They were pretty much tough for about 70 minutes, strong from 0 to 70 minutes. Stoke weren't anywhere to be found, but they had the ball possession. But expected goals and momentum all went to Preston North End. So that is for them at home. Obviously their last game at home, standing strong. Then they lost to Norwich away, which momentum wise was a lot better than Norwich, but possession was really all Norwich. A 3-0 loss to Coventry. Coventry dominated the shit out of them away. And the previous, other home game where they lost to Oxford 3-1, goals from Heelick, Lancashire and Brown. Osmondage scoring again. But yeah, again, momentum was very strong at Preston. 70% ball possession. Oxford were doing the counter-attacking shit with Bloomfield. So yeah. But there, as you can see by the stats on the team on the right, Dobbins got 7 goals, 7 assists. Osmondage got 8 goals, 1 assist. Devine 8 goals, 3 assists. Whiteman 2 goals, 5 assists. Moran 1 goal, 1 assist. Small 3 goals, 2 assists. Hughes and Lindsay, nothing there. Story's got 2 goals, 2 assists. And Valentine has 2 assists. Now, looks like they have goals everywhere, pretty much in midfield and attack. Their wing backs seem to put quite a few crosses in. But I think the majority is they control the game from the middle, not the back. So we need to watch out probably through balls when it comes down to the middle 3. Striker wise, Dobbin, we all know he's very good, coming from Everton. And Osmondage, be honest, I'm not too sure about Osmondage. I haven't really seen much of him, but I'm guessing he is a tall striker, and we might have to watch out for those basically, I would say, set pieces going from there. So yeah. But apart from that, not much to really say on Preston. Looking on stat wise, we should have a comfortable win or a draw. Hopefully we don't get a loss. That's the main thing. If we lose, then we might be like, what the fuck, what's going on there. But injury wise, yeah, we'll get into that in a second. With what Nick's asking about Collie. And Beggy had an amazing game last time we played Preston. He did. Honestly, that was his debut. Absolutely killed it. So we'll see what happens and go from there. Apart from that, with form wise in game, players to watch out for, obviously Dobbin and Osmondage. I know Devine and Whiteman are pretty talented. Thierry Small is a very good left back, winger, I would say. In defence, we all know about Hughes, Lindsay and Story. They're pretty tall, pretty decent centre backs. They like to get into challenges as well. So yeah, for what I know, when we played them at home, they will put us on pressure for wise, in the sense of, for when we were looking at them, they was trying to get free kicks and someone sent off. They was at the start of the season. They were going down pretty easily, holding their heads and going from there. So yeah, we need to be careful. Well, and Bengay needs to be careful. We know that they're going to be trying to look for someone to get sent off for sure. They seem to do it quite a bit. I really rate the head coach a little bit. He did a terrific job at Sheffield United. But apart from that, with Preston, he's not doing a great job there, as you can see. But yeah, players to watch out for, I would say, like I said, Devine and Whiteman are very talented midfielders. So yeah. Game plan, yeah, set pieces, I would say. I wouldn't say they're going to dominate the game a lot. I feel like we can control them a bit at home. So yeah. Nick says if Collie doesn't make it, I would play Sato with Coney and have Obiku on the bench. Like I said, there's no news at the moment whatsoever, Nick. No news yet whatsoever on that one. So yeah. Now, prediction wise, I'm gonna go over 2-0 win to Queen's Park Rangers. I honestly think we could beat them at their ground. I feel very confident now in looking at what their form is. I say that, but I guarantee on the day it's gonna be like, oh, I knew this was gonna happen and all that shit bollocks. So yeah. For us wise though, we've been looking really good in games. Defense has been brilliant whatsoever. Striker force even better. There seems to be a good relationship with Morgan and Varane at the moment in midfield, and Hayden with Morgan. So Morgan will probably be playing tomorrow. They will probably be playing tomorrow, and Smith will be as well. Now, when it comes down to wing backs, maybe there might be a bit of a change there. I'm not too sure. Obviously, we have Clark Salter back on the bench. So, yeah. Poku, Kokiseo, Daniel Benny, Hayden, Steve Cook, Adamson, Escudina, Ben Hamer. So, yeah. I personally think we won't see Brell yet. We won't see Shea yet. Madsen yet either. We probably will see, hopefully, Obiku on the bench tomorrow. Obviously, giving someone a rest if he is doing really well in training. I don't know if they've had a training session over the weekend, if they're in today or yesterday. But yeah, it should be a good game. It should be a very interesting game. So yeah, hopefully Julian can get the 3 points at Deepdale for us away, making it us our round 41. 5 games to go after this one. We'll see where that goes. What is going on? I'm hearing some nicks screaming. Jeez. But yeah, that's pretty much it really to say on that half. Now, obviously going on to what Nick says about Collie. Now, I thought it, I thought it was only to do with his yellow card. I didn't realise until West London Sports said that he had a knock. I don't know what type of knock it is. QPR have said they're going to be assessing it. They haven't said anything yet on the injury. The likely chances are he might say something today if he's doing a match preview, Julian. Nothing's been put out yet, as far as I can see. But, yeah, I think for what I can say right now, it shouldn't be too serious because he wasn't like wobbling off or anything like that. He seemed to be fine in that first half ending. It didn't seem anyhow serious. So, yeah, I would say the likely chances are, hopefully, fingers crossed, we see him play, but he will likely need to rest some players because energy levels and 2 games rest is a bit much. So yeah. H4 says late playoff push. Like I said, let's not get too hasty into that. Right now, I would say the biggest thing for us is making sure we finish in the top half and not the bottom half this season. That will be kind of the best thing for us. Hopefully we can keep that consistency on our back line. I think we can. Honestly, I think we've shown a lot more maturity in our defence lately. Even though they have... Look, the goal for Watford obviously was a set piece technically, and you can't really fault that. Yeah, the keeper's got to be doing better. The wall might be having to jump a bit higher on that note. But personally, when it comes down to set pieces, I wouldn't say it was a blame game. I would just say it's a very good set piece from the opposition. So yeah, but since that, really, we've been pretty well in defence. Obviously the first goal against Leicester City for Leicester was a bit of a nightmare. I also think the 6-1 win against Pompey, their goal, yeah, could have been dealt with a bit better. So yeah, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. This could go on a bit further, but I'll be honest, what is there to talk about? There's not much to really talk about. There's no news at the moment either. Like you said, Collie's injury, I don't know if it's serious or not. But apart from that, it seems to be all on tomorrow for Julian. So yeah. Hope to see, obviously, like I said, Obiku play. I really want to see what he's like on the pitch before the end of the season. I know he'll probably be on the bench. Kone, will he get a rest? Not too sure. Will Collie be playing? If Collie's not playing, then the likely chances are we'll probably see Obaku on the pitch. Go from there. So yeah. Nick says, would be nice to see Obaku and Jay Clarksall in our squad to change the system if needed. The problem is, if we change it, and when something bad happens, 100% the fans are going to go mental on him. 100%. You know, so realistically, defense-wise, we don't need to change it at the moment, unless Steve Cook needs a game or not. We'll probably get some information before the end of the season what's going to happen with Steve Cook and some others. I know there was a article out somewhere on social media, I can't remember where it was, but there was saying that 3 likely players will be leaving QPR, and that is Field, Seller, and there was another player, but I can't remember who. It wasn't Ilyashev though. Ilyashev looks like he could be staying. Simon says, getting good vibes tomorrow would be great to finish top 10, 60 plus points, and sell for next season. Set for next season. Yeah. Listen, look, we're at how many points are we at the moment? We're at 56 points. Listen, I think we can hit the 60-point mark. Positively, if we can finish plus goal difference as well, absolutely smashed it for this season, I would say. Have we done a better job than last season already? Yeah. I have said this all season. I think we've been smashing it better than last season. I know there was a lot of controversy with Julian still at the club in the last couple of months, but you know, realistically, I think he's a good head coach. I've said this many times, and I think he's going to get us promoted. You know, if you don't say we haven't improved, you're pretty delusional. I think we have improved a lot. So yeah, 60-point mark will be brilliant. You know, as long as we beat last season's, then I'm happy. And then that's final, really. You know, we've got 6 games to go. And then that's the end of the season, man. That's the end. Another season down the drain. When I say down the drain, I'm not too sure. But, yeah. I think Morrison was the other player that might be leaving, actually, to be honest. I'm saying it, we're losing, for example, 3 at the back, then 2 up front. Oh, okay. Okay, Nick, I understand what you're saying now. He said, would you keep Morrison? I like Morrison, I really do, but we got to kind of put it in perspective. Is he a Julian player? You know, I think when we've signed Ronnie, we got Ronnie, Jimmy, Steve Cook. If Steve Cook leaves, then Morrison will stay. Because obviously I know Steve Cook is on a year contract. I don't think he's on a 2-year contract personally. I know Steve Cook loves the club, but he hasn't really been playing. It's that simple, you know. He's had a great end to the second part of the season, and maybe he should end it like that. I'm not too sure. You know, I know he would prefer QPR to stay at QPR, getting promoted into the Premier League, and if that happens, then cool, great for him. But you know, it's down to Julian at the day, because at the end of the day, we're gonna need funds to buy players in the season. I know the Eze deal and all that, but you got to remember, in the last 2 seasons, we've spent a lot of money. You know, we bought this season Kone for about 3 point something, Sato for 3 point something, Ronnie Edwards for 4. We've spent about 10 million roughly this season. So yeah, I would personally say we need to sell some players, and if that means selling Samfield to Norwich and bringing in a certain player, like, you got to remember, we're only going to look at players that we need for sure, and obviously development side. Have we got a good development side at the moment? Yeah, 100%. Do we need to start using our development team? Well, you start using certain players, yeah. You know, Daniel, whether that or send them out alone would be the best. You know, but we have to be realistic for next season, and that is, I only see maybe 3 or 4 first team players coming in. So yeah, and that is a keeper to like. You know, I would say Nardi possibly could be leaving if that is the case. I would say Cooper, if he goes out on loan again, I would just tell Cooper just to leave, because he ain't gonna get positively around it. But yeah, I would say a new keeper's gonna be coming in. Maybe a wing back. We definitely need a left back, possibly. I know, depending on Ziad Lakesh, on how that turns out. But apart from that, all I can say is this: any ACL injuries, you need to be careful with, because will they be brilliant? I doubt it very much. You know, Dembele is gone ACL injury, Lakesh, Clark, Solar. These are players that probably won't be at the club for much longer. So yeah. Morrison was the experience we needed, but we have to look at the younger left back, even if Lakesh proves good. I would say personally, Lakesh is an interesting player. He did well for Marty, but you got to remember we also have players out on loan that need to come back. So we also have a right-sided player that is not been at the club, and we brought him in on a free, and he seemed interestingly good. So I don't know what's going on with him. Do you think we will buy a players from League One again? 100%. Listen, look, the regime is this. If there's a League One player out there that is very decent to play in the Championship at a good price, we will bring him in. And there is some decent League One players. You know, we can't sit here and say there isn't. Because look at Cardiff. For me, you know, Cardiff, for example, is a great interest in there. So they have the two brothers at Cardiff that are really quality, that obviously could do the job, something like that. You know, Chris Willock's in there, and some other players as well in League One that are really doing a good job. Like if we go on to say League One right now, and we go on to say stats, top scorers, you know, Dominic Bollard is 21 goals this season for Leyton Orient, and he is 21 years old. You know, they've literally covered pretty much their guy in Kelman. You know, you got someone from, I believe, Stockport, Carl Wooten, who is 29 years old, but yeah, Jack Marriott is there. You know, I'm just trying to see if we see anyone that I know about. Harry Leonard, someone that I really look at a lot. Young striker, 12 goals. Do we need him? Not really, but you know, there's a shout there for League One. I'm just trying to see if there's anyone. You know, Chris Willock's got 7 goals. Robinson's got 7 goals. I'm just trying to see if there's anyone. Ruben Colwell's got 6 goals. You know, the Colwell brothers are the one that I would say we need to look at. Nathan Lowe, for Wickham, he seems to be interesting. He's 20 years old. You know, so I would say we have to look at League One sometimes, because there is some decent talented players there that can do the job. You know, like we could say, all right, we need to go and look at Premier League youngsters and all of that, and that may happen. But at the end of the day, we got a guy called Julian Stefan who's French and knows about international level players. So will he bring in internationals? Yeah, because we've been doing it lately anyway. You know, because of the price tags are being cheaper. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he raids France over the summer. You know, and goes from there. But we have to see what happens. At the end of the day, we need to do improvements, not as much as downgrades. You know, I know a lot of people are going to probably say, well, we know what he's going to do with the development side, but is he going to do anything with the first team? You know, that's another thing that we got to look into. I still back Walsh, but only as a competitive number 2 if we can get a quality number 1 keeper. The light chance I will. Only really need a right back, left back, keeper, and another centre mid or 2 depend. Listen, we need our mid. Look, we've worked on our defence. Our defence is pretty decent. Our strike, we don't need no strikers. Our forward line is brilliant. I think the thing that we need to do the most this season is wing backs and midfield. You know, we're lacking a lot of creativity because of not just injuries, but certain other things as well. You know, like, for example, if you go into the game, like, Madson's been a big thing this season. If there's no Madsen, who's going to replace him? Obviously, Kieran Morgan's the nearest thing to it. Or Sam Field. So, you know, you have to kind of look at it in that way. In my opinion, you've got to give a youngster a chance. And that's what's the point of bringing these good youngsters in if we're not going to use them? You know, Akadinelli's a very talented centre-back. Tylon Smith still needs some room to grow. But, yeah, we have some decent youngsters coming through. You know, Emerson Sutton as well. I want to see him burst onto the QPR team. You know? So, we need to start looking at as well as development as well. So, yeah. But we'll see what happens in the summer. You know, like I said, we usually end up going for the development side and the women's team and all of that first. I know we want to do more competitive with the women because obviously that's what his focus is on the women at the moment as well. But apart from that, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. We just have to wait and see. But big thing is tomorrow, let's see what happens. We got Preston North End away at Deepdale. Let's see if we can get the win. Will be great to see. We'll try and hopefully tomorrow. What I might, like I said, I'll set up the stream for tomorrow for sure. And we'll go from there. And we'll see if we can get online at 3 o'clock and stream the game from there and go from there. Simon says, how do you think NI has done? Listen, I think Norrington Davis has had a good start, and recently he's been brilliant. But I would say personally not to sign him because I'll be honest, I don't think he's shown enough ability to say to sign him. You know, he had a really off middle of the season. It's only recently where he's had some good games. Now, if it's either two choices, if we're gonna sign him, we'll do it early. If we don't sign him, then we all know if it's that he's good enough, we can't afford him, or he was only in to cover Lakesh from injury. So yeah, I would say personally, I would not sign him. I think he's still a good player, but I don't think he's proven enough to me to say, yeah, can be great. But that, you know, that's just my opinion. So yeah. Robert says, we need to look at our forwards. We will lose Burrell to a Premiership team and Kone is average. We won't lose Burrell to a Premiership team because Burrell will stay at QPR 100%. Kone will probably be improved next season, I think. Colley, we've already said Colley will go. If Colley, you know, Colley is a worrying one because if Colley doesn't get first team, he will leave. Obuku, same thing. Obuku is young. He's got to come through. And you got to remember, we have some youngsters coming through as well in the forwards we do. You know, we got Rowan Vaughan who's been killing it. And I know it's a different league. I know it's a different competition. But he's still been killing it. Yeah, so yeah. I think we need to kind of look at what we have already instead of bringing in on the forward line. So yeah. I know a lot of people want a different forward if Kone's not performing and this and that. But personally, I think Kone's doing okay. Nick says, hopefully my business is done early. Can't afford another bad preseason. I don't know what's going on with preseason. They haven't announced anything to do with any. They'll likely end up going Portugal again, realistically. Hateful, do you think we'll finish top 10 come the end of the season? I think we'll finish top 10 this season. I really do. I said at the start and I'll stick by it. I think top 10 was a target and we're going to keep it and we're going to go from there. I think we will. I'm positive. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I've not been wrong about a prediction so far with QPR. You know? So yeah, the only thing that I've been wrong about was Burrell. And that I can apologise for. You know? And he has my attention and my huge respect for him now for what he's done for QPR this season. You know? He's going to be one to watch next season for sure. And depending on what we bring in so far. Next season, we have to compete with the top 8. It's that simple. We have to compete for the playoffs. We have to compete at all costs for that league next season. You know, we've been in the championship for a long while. And it's not about something needs to change. It's more about we need to be more consistent in what he says in Julian. You know, Julian brings up consistency a lot. We need to focus on that as well. So yeah, I think personally we'll see what happens in the summer, but we can only go from there. Hopefully the preseason isn't going to be damaging to us with injuries. You know, I know a lot of people, I don't know obviously who's going to be. Do we have any players that are going to the World Cup? I'm not too sure. Is there any players in youth development going to any international stuff? Not too sure, but we'll see what happens from there. Apart from that, like I said, to complete, we need an injury-free squad. Yeah, exactly. I agree, Robert. I agree with that 100%. And I said that for 3 seasons now. I said that we need to understand why we're getting these injuries, you know, for starters. Is it our staff ability? Are we training them right? Are we doing the wrong thing? Are we putting pressure on them? Are we stressing them out? You know, it's kind of one of them things. You know, the Burrell one, I can't really say much because that was a stamp on the hamstring. That was appalling from Sheffield Wednesday. So yeah, I think we push for top 4 next season if business goes well. Yeah, H football, I agree. Top 8 for me is a realistic one because the playoffs is going to be top 8 now. So yeah, Nick says cheers DB. Well, yeah, like I said, we're going to leave it there for now for today. Like I said, we're going to try and do our best. We'll set up the stream anyway, just in case we make it. Like I said, if we can get done by 3 o'clock, we'll be on. But we'll try and be on anyway for second half or in between the game. And we'll go from there. I will set it up still tonight like I did last time. And we'll see what happens. Hopefully we're live for the watch along tomorrow. But apart from that, hopefully you have a good rest of the Easter. Have a good weekend. We've been killing it. And yeah. Don't forget to hit the like button. It does help and support the channel and pushes out the content a bit more. So please, 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 it is free. Much love for that. And subscribe if you want to. Apart from that, peace, love, positivity. We'll catch you tomorrow, hopefully. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. You lovely people. We'll catch you in a bit. Peace out, people.